Hello and thank you for joining us once again on SGTV. Today we are joined by our very special guest, Mr. David Savery from DSES.
Thanks for having me here today.
Thank you for coming on, Dave. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Nice to be in sunny Tamworth.
So today I think we're going to be talking to you about how you became self-employed. Because I know from speaking to not only electricians but anyone in the building trade, making that transition from being employed or an apprentice or going to being self-employed is quite a big, can be quite a daunting step. So can you run us through sort of how you went about it?
Obviously, different people have different experiences, and what works for one person may not for somebody else. I was quite fortunate in that I had a choice of redundancy, voluntary redundancy where I was. Obviously, it gives me a good place to start from, because I've got a bit of a cash cushion, so to speak, because getting any business started takes time. Whatever promises are made, perhaps by some of the training places that offer electrical training courses, it's not a case that the phone is going to start ringing as soon as you've got some qualifications under your belt. It takes time to build up a reputation to get that phone ringing, and it really does feel like an uphill struggle for a good 18 months or so at first for me personally, before I felt that I was over the hill and things were self-sustaining. But again, I was fortunate because I had a cushion to sit on. I didn't need the work to be immediately flowing in, but obviously a lot of people aren't going to be in that position. I was also in a fortunate position regarding where I was with my mortgage, and again, I didn't need to worry about keeping the roof over my head. Appreciate most people aren't in that sort of position, so it's difficult. But obviously, when you haven't got a reputation, you're starting out from scratch. Advertising is everything, really. You've got to get your name out there. You've got to be seen. Hence the bright orange van I started with and getting that little rig. But I was just spending a lot of money advertising, because you've got to make a start figuring out how it's going to work for you, because it's not for everybody. It is time consuming. It will eat up your evenings and weekends. There's a lot on the paperwork side. You can be great on the tools, but you need to have a bit of a marketing head about you to know how to promote yourself.
Do you find that when you're spending a lot of money and time on advertising initially, that you almost get to the point where, through word of mouth from doing work for customers, that you don't need to spend as much, that it almost takes over?
Once that ball is rolling, once you get to that point where things are self-sustaining, then you can rein back some of the overheads. I've always had some advertising. Obviously, there's a lot of it at the start, and that's petered out over the years to the point where it was only my local parish magazine that I was still advertising in, because that is a good source for local work. But something like a parish magazine is great because it goes around every house in the area. Everybody looks at it. Nobody just slings it straight into the recycling. They all get looked at. So it's a good investment. It's nice and cheap. Works really well. And I've always been in that until now. This is the first time I've actually pulled out of that, because I've just got so much on that I can't keep on top of the work that's coming in. So I've had to, which is a great position to be in a way. It's almost gone the other way now, in that I'm almost feel like I'm letting people down because I'm having to turn work away. I mean, just sitting in the van waiting to come in here and my lunch today, 4 calls have come in. I've got 4 people to phone back. They all want quotes for work doing.
I suppose that's reassuring though, like for the guys out there that are worried.
Obviously, it's there's peaks and troughs with the work as well. I mean, at the moment, everyone's reporting that they're busy. 6 months from now, especially with all the political insurgencies around, who knows what it's going to be like. But I think, but once, for someone like me who has a pretty good reputation, who has a good, fairly large customer base, I think there's always going to be work in the area, whether I ever need to pick up that advertising again in perhaps the parish magazine.
Just give yourself a bit of a boost further.
Absolutely, if things quieten down. But September to December is my busy time of year. Obviously, we're recording this, it's beginning of September now. Once the schools go back, everybody starts looking at the Christmas deadline. That's a deadline for all the trades. Doesn't matter if you're having a new kitchen, an extension built, a house rewired, refurbished, whatever. Everyone's looking at Christmas thinking, I want to be in at Christmas and having my Christmas dinner. And a lot of people aren't going to get that, not in their house. A lot of people are going to get disappointed by that as schedules start to slip, because various trades perhaps don't manage to keep to the plan that they perhaps intended to. So this is the busy time of year, which is another reason why I've just pulled advertising. But
So we're dragging you in here for videos when you could be out there.
Well, yeah. There's more to life than just working every day, though, isn't there? It'll drive you insane if you just work for the dollar, so to speak. There are people, especially trades, who will oversubscribe their day. They'll try and cram as much in as possible to try and earn as much as possible, and they end up working late, or they're phoning people further down the line in that day, that people they were supposed to be here at 3 o'clock, to say, look, I'm still trapped on this other job, I'll get to you at 5, or something like that, as a knock-on effect. And they end up stressed, and yeah, okay, perhaps they're making lots more money than I am, but I try to keep my days fairly simple.
I mean, for people out there that are wanting to do this, would you have any good examples of benefits, pros and cons?
Yeah, I mean, the pros are obvious in that obviously you are working for yourself, you do dictate your schedule, you do dictate what you do. The cons are probably also fairly obvious. It's hard work. It's going to eat up your evenings and your weekends, the paperwork side of it. It's not just working on the tools. Obviously the tool work is what I want to do. That's the bit I like, the bit where I'm out actually with the screwdrivers doing work. I don't really want to be doing the paperwork, but it's part and parcel of the job. The estimates, the quotes, the certification, the accounts is all stuff behind the scenes. The job planning, the job ordering, all that sort of stuff has got to be done at some stage. And if you're not doing it during your 9 to 5 day, you're doing it in the evening or at the weekend. And of course, another disadvantage is that the buck stops with you. If you do a job, then you've got to make sure you see that through. It may be that if once you start knocking holes in people's houses, you've got to know that you can finish that off. You make your commitment once you start knocking a hole in that wall, and you have to make that good one way or another at the end of it. And it may be that I'm not saying you necessarily have to plaster things up or whatever, but you have to be comfortable with the fact that once you start busting out someone's
you can't just walk away. But there's a big hole in your wall. Sorry about that.
I've bitten off more than I can chew here, and then do a disappearing act, because obviously your reputation's not going to last for very long. Then, so you have to see it through. And by the same token, if you put in something that subsequently fails or becomes problematic, it's back on you to sort it out, to make it good, to keep the client happy. You want to make sure you're buying products that are renowned,
up to the job.
Up to the job, yeah. Things that you can rely on, not just the whatever's cheapest to satisfy a budget, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be back on the phone going, well, that thing you put in has stopped working. Because you have a choice then of either going back and supporting it, and we say we support anything over for 2 years when we put it in, even if we only get a 1-year warranty on it, just to give the client peace of mind that we're not going to take the money and run. But you either do that, or you go, well, it's been in for over a year now, it's not really our problem anymore, because again, it's your reputation. And if your name is your business,
you're going to need products that you can rely on to back you up.
It's your name that you're putting out there. The last thing you want to do is to ruin your own good name on your doorstep, because you'll quickly find that your reputation gets shot. And of course, anybody can leave reviews these days.
Do you find, working for yourself, would you advise people to make sure they're putting money away for themselves for like holidays, tax, pension? How does that work?
These days, of course, you've got to have your pension sorted. You've got to do the state pension thing. Now, this is where I sort of fall down a bit, because I know my electrics, or I like to think I do, accounting, pensions, that sort of thing. Straight over. I pay my accountant to sort that out. But for example, I've got an employee in Nigel. I have to give him a pension. I have to give him sick pay. I don't necessarily get those perks myself, but because he's an employee, he gets them. But there's all these things that you've got to provide.
I suppose having a good accountant, someone to rely on for that is good, I suppose.
Absolutely, and I'm fortunate I do have a good accountant. I don't know them personally. It's not someone who's a friend of mine or anything like that, but it's a business that I like the look of at the very beginning, and I put them to the task. The way they do it is very good, because the accounts are sorted out monthly. A lot of people do it at the end of the year, and I used to do that with the previous business, and it's very difficult when you get to the end of the year to remember what you were doing 11 months earlier. And I think, where did the invoice for that go? Where's the receipt for that? And it becomes a bit of a nightmare. They do it monthly, which means that their fees are broken down. The yearly fees are broken down over the months as well. So I don't feel like I'm having to get to the end of the year and pay out a big 4-figure sum for them to do my accounts. And to try and figure out where on earth we are with it all. It's all done on a monthly basis. Any questions that arise over that month are dealt with that month. And it works really, really well. I
suppose that's a reassurance, knowing if, like you say, you admit you're not great at the admin, the pension side of things. So there are people out there wanting to get into becoming self-employed that are going to be in the exact same boat. I suppose the accountants and companies out there who are dealing with, you know, self-employed guys, everyone's in the same boat. This is how it's done.
And you've got to take professional advice on that. If you're not comfortable with it yourself, you've got to take advice on it. And it's not just accounts, there's all sorts of other aspects to it as well. For example, I'm pretty good at graphics packages and things like that. So my website is all done by me. I haven't had to employ anyone to do that. But a lot of people aren't going to be able to put together graphical images using a package, and they're not going to be able to create a website of their own, so they're going to rely on other individuals to do that, which is fine, but obviously you've got to find the right people if you're not confident enough in your own skills. What I would say as well is one of the reasons why I'm quite good on things like art packages and producing the website is because again, I sat down and thought, right, I'm going to need all this. I'm going to sit down and play with it and figure out it, not to an expert level, but enough to be able to do all this and look after it myself, so I don't have to outsource it.
I suppose also if it's yours, it's your baby, you're going to have more enthusiasm to think, right, I want that to look good. You know, that's going to represent me. I've got an interest in that, and that's going to benefit me. I suppose that's a big.
Absolutely, you can make it more customizable. And there's an awful lot of electrician or tradespeople websites that are put together by the likes of Yell.com, for example. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they are kind of identikit. You see them online and think, yeah, okay.
Just a carbon copy of that one.
Yeah, same sort of stock images, same layout. It's just the phone numbers that are different. But obviously, if you're selling yourself to the public, if they can see something more individualistic, something that sells you over what the competition are all doing, then so much the better. It works to your advantage.
Yeah, I think one of the things we hear a lot of. You know, the benefits of working for yourself. Even, you know, things like, you know, you get to sit back and look at a job and think, you know, I'm proud of that. That's, you know, it's a good feeling. But have you ever had any like bad, funny, weird experiences on site with customers that stick out?
Oh yeah, and just to take that what you just said first, that you are exactly right. And I remember in my last job before I took this on, which was an office-based job, because I came in from the comms industry, but the last job I had was office-based. And I remember sitting in the pub with a couple of guys thinking, I've had enough of this. I get to the end of my day and I can't account for what I've done. I don't feel like I'm making a difference. I want to be able to get to the end of the day and stand back from something and say, look, I've done that.
You've accomplished
something that's been accomplished. And look at my happy customer. Look at them grinning away there with that fistful of money that they're going to give me because they're so pleased with what I've done. And that was one of the reasons for wanting to get into the trades, was to have that, to make your day feel like it had actually counted for something. But as for, odd experiences, obviously there are positive ones, there are negative ones. I don't know, a couple of, I suppose, one of the perhaps weirdest ones was when I was wall mounting Guy's TV in a bedroom, and he came out the shower completely naked to check that I had it on the level. That was a bizarre one. Yeah, and another one where I was hanging someone's ceiling light in the hall, and the guy said to me, like, I've got to go and use the loo. Is that okay? Yeah, you squeeze past me, off we go. And he goes into the WC just there and proceeds to pass a very loud and smelly motion with the door open.
Nice.
With me just like, you know, 1.5 meters away.
I suppose if there's motivation to get the job done quicker, that's it, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Yeah, those are a couple of places where I couldn't quite get out fast enough. But and I suppose the other ones as well are the ones where they stand and watch you. Unfortunately, fairly few and far between these sorts of
over
experiences.
your shoulder.
But yeah, I had one where the landlady was just over me the whole time while I was working, and I wouldn't mind, you know, if you were chatty and she was just shooting the breeze or whatever and being friendly, but no, it was just stony silence, just standing over me the whole time I was working away. Or another one where the guys' kids were watching me work, older kids as well, like teenagers. Shouldn't you be on YouTube or the Facebook or whatever it is you do these days, Instagram or something, instead of watching
not bothering me.
Yeah, instead of watching me going about my day. So yeah, there are some oddballs out there. Fortunately, they're few and far between in my experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get some weird and wonderful ones.
Yeah. Well, I hope for you guys watching out there, you found David's advice helpful. And if you'd like to find out more from myself and David, who's going to be joining us for some other videos, please do like and subscribe here at SGTV. And we hope to see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Dave, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.